All right, everybody, big guest in the Nonsense Garage this week. We've been trying to line this up for a long time. This man is getting ready for the month of May, but this guy sitting next to me is a 3-time V8 Supercar champ. Coming over to the United States, running some Indycar stuff, and has acclimated perfectly fine. Joining the Nonsense Garage, please welcome Scotty McLaughlin.
Thank you, boys. Thank you.
Hey.
It's a big time interview, this one. I appreciate you guys
Man.
having me on here. I'm sorry it's taken so long.
No, it's perfect time.
Yeah,
It's a perfect time. You know why? Because you just got done running 235 miles an hour this past week.
Yep, we did. We had a little open test there. Yellow Submarine. Feels fast. So we're in the game, I think. It was actually, we had a really, really solid test, So that was actually the first time that they've outside Fast Friday, which, for Indy qualifying, we turn up the boost and they call that Fast Friday. It's our one practice we get with 1.5 boost, where we normally run around 1.3.
Okay.
And it's a serious jump. And it was nice to run. We tested that at the open test for the manufacturers with the hybrid system now. There's a lot of different things happening. So it was nice to get a little bit of an introduction, and we were quick. So it's a good start.
So talking about poundage for boost, right? 1.3 pounds versus 1.5 pounds. Okay, so when you say it's significant increase, is that just in perception or is it in car setup? Obviously speed, but how much when you turn the wick up from 217 to 235?
It's a significant, it's almost like a push you back in your seat kind of thing. But as you know, when you enter 1 and 3, at the speeds we're entering, we were up to 242 there at one point. It's fast, and and you're trying to hold on to the tire and think about what you're doing with your weight jacker and your bars and whatnot, and it's cool. It's a lot of fun, but it does take some time to get comfortable and practice that and understand the tire, and because the car's 100 pounds heavier this year with a hybrid, so it's there's a lot to think about, and it's going to be a bit of a handful. I think if you have a 85-90 degree day for qualifying at Indy, it's going to be very difficult. The last lap, the 4-lap run is hang on to it basically.
So, but the intent's not changing. Your right foot is still
glued
to the
you
mat.
have to be. If you want to get pole, be flat. You have to be flat.
Tell the fans the level of commitment, because none of them would probably know if they've never driven. And I certainly haven't driven an IndyCar, but I talked to Connor Daly a lot.
Yeah.
He says he puts his left foot over his right foot just because when your pinky toe starts getting a little light.
Yeah.
Pole sitter for the Indy 500 last year. Talk about the level of commitment going in, and what's the nervousness level, knowing you got to keep it flat running 240 miles an hour.
It's tough. My feet are too big, so I can't actually do that, the double foot thing. But that is one of the most intense qualifying sessions. I've qualified at Bathurst and done things with the supercar and whatnot and street tracks, but the Indy 500 qualifying, and particularly if you get to the fast to Sunday where it's the fast 12 and the fast 6, you got to do about 3 or 4 times. It's difficult, and you're qualifying heat of the day. If you get a good draw, you're probably qualifying a little bit earlier with a track temp 15 degrees cooler.
Big difference,
but it's still tough. But you're thinking, you get going and you think about you get through one and you immediately think about one, how that felt, and what you adjust for that next lap. And around that place they have the flags around, and you're constantly looking at the flags down each back straight. If you've got a slight crosswind at 3, you're gonna have a bit of push, so I might come down on my front anti-roll bar, and then you readjust that for turn 1. You're constantly thinking about that the whole lap, and that's why I never really pay attention to what the competitors are doing, because you really just have to make the most of what you got. It just is what it is. And the only last year for the pole, the only lap I concentrated on that the others were doing was the first lap, and everyone had done a 2:33 average lap, and we punched out a 2:34.5. That was my first lap, and I was like, okay, now I just got to hold on to this thing, and it was just a matter of making it happen.
So they're introducing the hybrids. I'm also a bit curious about that. I want to also ask what you think happened in Larson's incident. Chunked one, big shunt for Kyle Larson, that 17 car this past weekend. I'm glad he was okay. But what you said, the cars are 100 pounds. That's a significant addition in overall weight when the cars weigh what?
I don't know exact weight. I'm sorry. I'm one of those drivers. But
2,300 pounds?
Yeah, probably around there. Yeah, I'd say around there, yeah.
I know you got the kilos.
But I'll tell you another story later. But Well, I'm an American citizen now, so
Hey,
let's go.
So
welcome
what is
to the
it?
show.
What is it? What the is a kilometer? Can we say that?
Yes.
No. So, no, but we, it's what I was saying. The Larson one was super weird, but with the amount of weight, like to the rear now, with the 100 pounds, like a lot of the I guess the balance is completely shifted to the rear of the car, and you're trying to get some front back into the car, and a lot of people are pushing up into the fence, and that's exactly what it sounded like what happened to Larson. And but Larson's was weird, and I never really got a chance to speak to him about it, but it looked like he was going to do a qualifying sim run, and at the start of our sim run we do like a map 8, which is low boost, and like you're just warming up the engine, spooling up the car. And it seemed to me that he was on that lap. I don't know if he just got wide on that lap or missed his mark. And then once you're up in the
You're wrecked at that point in time.
you're
How
torched.
precise do you have to be with knowing you have to? I mean, is it a tire width? Is it 4 feet?
I would say tire width. Like it's super, super tight. And your entries, Rick Mears, who I work with a lot, he was massive for my help around that place. And where I turn in, it really affects the exit, as we all know, but it's like amplified there. But what was tough last year in the Fast 6 that I never had felt before was the grandstands are so big that the shade, I had a lot of shade in the entry of 1, and then middle of 1, it would get like back hot again. So I actually got loose.
Really?
So I was loose entry because I had so much front on the shade, and then it pushed. And so I had to really set
At 235.
Yeah.
Oh,
you have to,
boy.
and then you're like holding it flat. It's like, well, I'm either in the fence or I'm not. And that was where the last lap of my qualifying run was super hard.
I felt like Larson's wreck when Hickey sent it in our group chat, and I was like, well, good, he got that out of the way. Because I think that's probably the thing for him. He's wrecked a lot of shit, like race car wise.
Yeah.
Big ones and sprint cars. But like there is a point where you're like
Yeah.
worried about wrecking, and then you wreck, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Got that out of the way.
I mean,
it wasn't
that
as
was
bad as I
that
thought.
was a small one. Like
Yes.
it was a small. And then you look at like Takuma Sato, who spun, it was like 95G, something crazy. Like I had one couple 22. I was talking about the wind. I forgot to reset my front anti roll bar going into 3. Had nose wind and turned into there, and it pushed, and I turned more, and then it snapped, and I just went straight back into the wall. It was like 87G or something. And then the worst part is like you hit that wall, you come back out, and then you hit it again, but you got nothing, no impact.
crush, yeah.
Everything's broken off, so it's just you in the tub, and you just smoke it.
And you also see it coming from a mile away. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to hit again.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is going to hurt.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I wonder
Yeah.
how long it's. Oh,
Isn't
yeah,
that
hurt real bad.
and it's like, it's like the first, that's the hardest hit for sure.
I know, obviously, so you're going here. You said you're going to be in the car for 10 weeks straight. That's a huge advantage for any driver just to get acclimated to the cues the car gives you. But here next week, going to Barber this weekend. But
Yep.
after that, it is, how much time do you spend at the racetrack? Do you sleep there in the bus? Do you go back and forth between Mooresville and Indy? Like, what's your month of May look like?
So month of May, I'm actually this year we're going to come back. We go Barber this weekend, and then we head home, head back to Indy on the Thursday for the GP. But I'll just go by myself. It's Mother's Day Sunday, so the team plane's coming back on Saturday night. So I'm doing the smart thing, not playing golf on Sunday. I'm coming
Good
back
call.
to be a dad.
Good call.
First Mother's Day, and then I'll head back Monday, and then I'll be there for the full month. I've got a bus there. Basically, have the place. It's pretty amazing. Like that's your house for the month of May. It's awesome. Walk the dogs, hang out, and then practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Fast Friday, which is practice but more qualifying on Friday. And then Saturday qualifying, Sunday qualifying, Monday practice, and then you don't get in the car till carb day on Friday before the race a week later. But and then you have the parade on Saturday, which is amazing. It's like a pretty cool thing to be a part of. Parade downtown, 500,000 people go to that. Apparently, it's like one of the biggest parades in the country. And then Sunday race day, and you wake up at depends. If I wake up at like 6, it's a good day, but last year I woke up at like 4. As soon as I wake up, I don't know what you're like, but if I wake up on a race day, I'm up. My mind is going, especially on the 500 day, and 6 a.m. is normally the cannon. They release this cannon and fireworks and stuff. It's awesome, and the gates are open. You just feel the vibes. It's awesome.
I get goosebumps just talking about it. I've never been before.
I know. I want to go.
You
so bad.
gotta go. It's amazing.
That's
I know
like
you guys
last
are always
week.
racing.
Last week when they were shaking up stuff with pit crews, I went to Rhineman, and I'm like, can I just change tires at Indy? I just want to do it, be part of the pit crew challenge, like just to watch all that and prepare with those guys, it seems like such a fun.
Especially it makes sense for you guys now with the
with
single
one
lug nut and stuff like that.
Well, that was what when they switched to one nut. I went and met with Sean Reineman, who's been the pit coach at Penske for a long time. He's won 20 pit crew challenges.
Yeah.
But that's who I don't know that anybody else either went to him, but I was like, hey, talk to me. Like, what do we do here? And that it was a big asset to have that there.
Yeah, we're always looking for people, but our pit crews. I guess the difference between our pit crew and a NASCAR pit crew is that those boys, that they work all month.
Yeah.
They're flat out like doing like car prep. It's not just a car crew and a pit crew. Like it's amazing. You got to give them credit, and then they go out and do stops, and they're lightning quick. And I think it's the vice versa for some of those guys. They want to do some NASCAR pit stops as well. So
we could switch. We can do a little swap.
I tell you, man, like NASCAR pit stops are like sketchy though. You see that guy at Talladega?
Yeah, Jarius.
He got
Moorhead.
hammered. Yeah,
he did.
He's gonna have a massive bruise, huh?
Well, he did the interview. He was like, "I'm good." I was like, "Bro, that
man.
hip got blasted."
Yeah, it has to be, right?
I don't know.
Well, you got both tires in your hand. Like, you don't.
Yeah.
I think you take it for granted watching guys throw those tires around, that when they do get hit.
Yeah.
Like last week when one tire could come loose at Bristol.
Yeah.
And you saw how fast it's going and how much damage it can do. It's like, take for granted how much.
What's pit speed for you? Like in like a Talladega race, like 60? Like
60
mile
miles an hour. Yeah, it's 55. So 60.
55,
So,
yeah, so
but you
we're
get 5
60.
miles. You get 50.
59.
You get 5 miles an hour. So it's 55.
Oh, okay. We're
Or
60 mile an
65.
hour at Indy, which is kind of crazy to think about. Like, but it looks so slow, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's not that bad." It's 60 mile an hour,
and as narrow as that, it's almost as narrower than a 2-lane road. It seems like.
Yeah.
Well, they
So
toned
narrow.
us down at Indy because rear changer on the 12, Zach Price got hit a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Because they all stacked at the end of pit road. It's really sketchy with a stock car there because there's so many cars and it's so narrow. And now everybody's on pit road at the same time because everybody's like the way that race works out. It's pretty crowded.
Yeah.
But it's sketchy with Indy cars. It's just small.
Yeah, it is small, and then you the way that we release, at Indy, like our first gear is so long, so like we have to just be full throttle and just drop in the clutch,
Or it'll stall.
and some guys have spun out and hit people, and it's always like the biggest thing, especially in a yellow period, is trying to get out of pit road clean is a big deal.
Somebody that is let's just say a casual motorsports fan watching Indy 500. When you qualify in the pole last year, for example, what are some things that you have to do right? And if you don't do to a perfection, then you ultimately get buried in track position. You can't make the difference. Like, what are the difference between what Helio's done well, what Joseph's done well the last couple of years, and you are going to do this year? I'm hammering you for the 500
I love
this
that.
year.
I love that. No, you know what won Joseph the race last year was his restart. He had a restart with, I think, 40 to go, and he was behind me, and I stuffed at him. All my restarts that whole race were good. The one that counted was a big one. So normally those guys like a Dixon, a Alio, guys like Joseph, they are super good on the restarts and know where to put their cars. They know when to take the top lane. They know when to, pass at 2 where it's super tight. It's a big deal. And he passed like 4 people on the outside of 1. He just got that run. But sometimes, that stuff opens up. Like, I look back at that and I review my race, and that was something that I missed. I tried to get a run, I missed the jump, and then I was out of the draft, and he was outside of me and took it. But those guys are so good at just seeing the race, seeing when to save fuel, when not to save fuel, when to pass a guy when they need to. Like, it's easy to think about, okay, hey, we can just sit here and save fuel, but sometimes that guy is saving fuel and he's slow and he's dragging you back. So those guys know when to, like, okay, I'm going to use 2 laps of fuel here and pass them. And they just see the race a little bit better. But I feel like now, like, this is my 5th Indy 500. Like, I feel very, very like comfortable and know what I need to do. I've reviewed it really hard. I feel good. I needed last year, like, even though we didn't win, but I needed last year to run up front and understand it, because it's so different. Like, I think my best qualifying position there was like 20th beforehand. Like, we had really struggled there in qualifying, and then to run up front, I think we led the most laps. Didn't lead the right one, but I learned a lot. And that's a big deal.
It seems like you got to lose a couple to win some. Like Joseph went through that, right?
He went 12.
Sure.
Right?
He had 12. Yeah, he won on his 12th attempt, his first one. And I think Kanan won on his 13th attempt or something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy.
I want to shift gears and talk about your transition from supercars, but I do need to know something. Is it sketchier at Indy or like at Texas? Because Texas looks pretty
This is sketchy.
Yeah, it's like I wonder like the commitment level and what that feels like in the car, because we're heading to Texas this weekend, and I can't help but think like, every time I watch you guys race Texas, I'm like, like I want to step back from the TV in case anything flies through the TV and hits me.
Well, like qualifying at Texas 1 and 2 is hard because of the banking now, where 3 and 4 is a little bit easier because the banking's more straightforward, and it's just easy. But when you race there, it's tough. Like coming through the tri-oval and stuff, it's super tight. You know, people are dropping wheels. Like and you know, you can't drop a wheel too much because you just lose all downforce or whatever. So, Texas is. I still put 4 laps in Indy tougher than Texas, but I think like Texas qualifying, it does take
massive balls.
Yes, you need to be like. It takes you a little bit to go. You know, put it down.
What about race? What about like in the race? Is
too.
it calmed down a little bit in the race?
At Texas?
Like at Indy and Texas?
Nah, right now, like it's, if you got a good car and you're like in 7th in line at Indy, like you can move forward, but not many people can. And then it's basically you get to 3rd and 1st and 2nd dicing because they've just got the draft and it's a little bit easier to follow in 2nd. You know, that's, if you've got a car good enough to be close enough for someone to make a mistake in that position, that's probably a good thing. But yeah, I would say the racing at Texas is probably a little bit more easier to pass, take the high lane, whatnot than Indy. But Indy still throws up its challenges as well.
Absolutely.
The biggest things there is, like I said, like the wind though. The wind is such a big factor. Like if we have a big the first thing, I don't look at the temp. The first thing I look at Indy is the wind.
Wind direction or speed?
Or just speed. Like when I wake up, I'm like, how hard's this day going to be? And how many coffees do I need?
What's the threshold? Is 12 mile an hour a lot?
I think if you get above 15, that's when it starts getting like, because the gusts are big too. Yeah. Because you just have, you can turn into a corner and be, this is great. And then the wind will just drop. Yep. And then that'll just rip the car around. So it's super hard. That's why I think it's so hard for, you know, one-off guys to come back as well and do it. Like I think what Larson's doing is amazing. Leo, like they're all just stellar, like talented, amazing people, but it's still so hard when we're always in the car and doing things. It's just the same old thing.
How can we get you to do a double?
Look, I think I've got to win the 500. Like, I think I've got to win something big or a championship to think about it. Okay. I want to do it. I really, everyone goes, hey, you know, the road course, which I would love to see on a road course and a NASCAR and stuff. And yeah, that'd be great. But I think I would love to be like one of the first IndyCar guys to go back and, you know, go from the 500 to the 600. I mean, Blaney, we play golf a lot, and we joke about, you know, potentially doing like the double together, which would be awesome. But you know, like that's I think I've got to just focus on what I'm doing, and you know, like I've always said that Penske have always put me in great spot. Like I've trusted the process. I've never really pushed anything. You know, I got my first drive with the Porsche sports car this year. Always wanted to drive that. They knew I wanted to drive that, but it took 2 or 3 years.
That's
I didn't
not
race.
the hypercar.
Yeah, that's a hypercar. Yeah, so I tested that. That was awesome, but I never really said anything. It was just an opportunity that popped up. Yeah, this is the same thing that happened with the IndyCar. They always put you in the right spots at the right time, and they've done right by me my whole life.
So explain to me, because we've seen fellow Kiwi, SVG, friend of the show.
Yeah, he's a good man.
Hell of a driver too, by the way. Clearly,
yep.
Went from V8 supercars directly into cup cars, independent rear suspension, transaxle. So those cars are almost very similar.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Penske took you the opposite route.
Yep.
V8 supercar, heavy stock car, to single-seater Indy car.
Yep.
Of course, there was probably some time to acclimate to that, because you've never driven anything single-seater high downforce up until that. Why'd they take you that direction versus...
It's kind of crazy. Like I never drove a single seater since Formula Ford, which was 15 years ago or something like that. So, you know, I personally thought I was going to go NASCAR. You know, I was always interested in NASCAR. Really, I knew Marcos Ambrose pretty well, and he was really the guy that put me in touch with Tim Cindric and Roger Penske from the start. And then TC, you know, was coming to, you know, I'd won a championship before and supercars, and it was coming to like the point where, hey, what do you want to do next? And I was like, you know, I'll do anything. I just want to be in America. Like, I'd love to be in America. I've always wanted to be in America. I just love this place, and it was just something that I wanted to do. And he's like, have you ever thought like about IndyCar? I'm like, no. He's like, well, like the racing, the schedule is a little bit less. You know, like I know what you're like with, you know, your home life. I'm a bit of a homebody. I love having my time off or whatever. Like, I think you'd really enjoy the cadence of the Indy season, plus being able to race the 500. Like, it's one of the biggest races in the world. You know, would you want? And I'm like, I never thought you'd consider me for it. I just thought I was a big sort of stock car driver, touring car driver. Let's think about it. So I came over and tested the sim and liked it. Then he gave me a test and went well, and came back for another test, and all of a sudden I was like, okay, well, we're going to go IndyCar racing now. So, but you know, like I said, I thought I was probably going to go NASCAR, like, just that's what I thought, but they had other plans, and I was like, okay. But I think it was going to be a little awkward though, like, you know, with the next gen car coming in, the Xfinity program was shutting down. They didn't really want to put me in a satellite team. I think a lot, you know.
Well, timing.
Yeah, timing of it all. Like, Austin had his Xfinity deal going. There wasn't really enough personnel cars or whatever to do a 2-car program, and I probably wasn't ready for Xfinity at that time. I needed to jump in trucks or something like that just to understand it all. But man, I don't regret coming to IndyCar. Like, I really enjoy it. I love it. I have a lot of friends in NASCAR. I love NASCAR racing. It's not that but I think I look at them and go, the schedule was tough, and now being 31 with a kid, like,
that's real life.
I think I'm very happy with it. I've got a really nice work-life balance, and I think if I was 21 or something like that, I would have been like, hell yeah, let's go NASCAR race. I want to race 40 times a year. I don't care. But now I've got a wife, kid, all that stuff. It's a little different.
It is a lot different, actually. And actually, the work-life balancing, something I've been wrestling with, because I don't think there's, like, when you say balance, I've always looked at it like a scale, right? If you spend time in work, then it takes away from family.
Yep.
Racing is an all-in thing. So how do you take your life overall, solely focus on racing, and yet still give attention to the areas that you need to give it to?
I think like I said, we have a great home. Like, my wife is amazing. She's very good at taking me away from the race. And when I first met her, she was one of the first people to actually just allow me to have a life, because racing was like everything. Not that it isn't now, but it was like I would come home and just look at data and footage and all that stuff and just go through it. Where now, you know, I think now having Lucy, my daughter, you know, it's given me I come home, I'm a dad. You know, I'm just, and I don't focus, and I've got like I've got an office that I go and do an hour, maybe a day, or every couple of days, just looking at like data and footage and, you know, overlays. But outside of that, like, I've just got a really nice spot, and she was great for me with that. It's been nice.
How much have you talked to SVG?
A lot. No, I talked. I remember, man, I said to him, like, you've got to get here. Like, you've got to get to America. This is before Chicago. We had dinner. We went to Lincoln Pin, and I'm getting pretty specific, but we went there.
Great steak.
Not bad. Great
cocktails. We wear that place out too.
Yeah. We went, and it was weird because, you know, we had been competitors for so long, competitors, but
he's a bit older than you.
Yeah. But we were teammates at one point as well.
Yep.
I was in like the Xfinity series when he was in the Cup series kind of thing, and so I knew him well since I was like 15, and when he came over and we had dinner, I was like, well, this is weird. We haven't had dinner. The only time we've ever really hung out was just having a beer after a race, you know, like this, like having dinner with him and Jess and whatever, weird. But we talked about it, and this is the week of Chicago. I said, dude, it's going to rain this weekend. No one's been on a street circuit. You're going to a car you love. I think you're going to win. Like, I think you're going to win it. And this is no disrespect to any of the Cup drivers, but I'm just like, if there's ever a time you were going to come in and go well, if it was Indy,
buddy,
if it was a road course there, or if it was
anywhere
Sonoma,
else, he
would have run P7, P8, like normal.
Yeah,
but Chicago street race, no one had been there. It was a blessing.
We had him on the show. We said the same thing.
Yeah,
I said the variables couldn't be more set up for you,
right? And this is not taken away from anyone else.
No.
It's like,
let me tell you. So the Chicago street race, they have, because there's like no motor homes, nothing. It's literally right in the middle of town. They have the Chicago Sports Museum set up for like drivers. They've got snacks and this and dressing rooms, and that's where the drivers meeting happens. It was downpouring outside, and it became very clear that we're racing this thing.
Yeah, buddy,
you looked around and all the drivers were a brick.
Yeah,
like one, we didn't know what the we're doing in the dry on the street course, and I looked over at SVG, stoic, bro. He's like a lion ready to pounce, and I was like, oh, this guy's about to work us over.
He also is one of the best guys in the rain I've ever seen. Like,
what
he's
makes a guy
incredible.
good in the rain?
I think his feel. He knows where almost to look for the grip, and he's not scared to like go miles off the track to find rubber or find clean track. And he's always been that way. But that whole, I was emotional watching that, like, just because we had been so, like, he's a friend, but like we had been so into each other, and now we're both here in America and we're winning, and it was just an amazing like turn of events.
Did you get your New Zealand flag out?
Oh no, I just drank some Coors, man, for him. I was just like, I think I pounded some silver bullets, and it was just, it was all. I was so happy for him. I was just gutted that we couldn't party together. But I said, man, you've got to get here. You'll love the people. The fans are great. And that's not taking anything back from Australia. You know, that was great, but he had done everything. Like, it's similar to me. Like, for me, I looked at it. I was a champion. I won championship. I won Bathurst, and I was like, okay, I really want to try something else. I just want to do something different. Yeah, I'm 26 at the time. Like, let's go do something. And he was very similar. I'm so happy for him. Like, it's tough for him right now, but he'll get it.
Well, that's what I want to talk about too, because inevitably, right, started off as high as you could possibly get.
Yeah.
Come out like, I'm going to win every single race I'm running there. I say, this is easy, right? The inevitable learning curve's coming. Also, a down year in Trackhouse overall. They haven't been running very good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the way the Cup Series metric is how you go qualify early. You're going to qualify bad. You're going to have bad track position all day, and it just keeps the snowball going the opposite direction you want it to go. What would you? And I'm sure you've had tough times coming over and just acclimating to everything. Right, my man bought a house. He's just like, he's in it.
Yeah.
Trying to be the best Cup driver he can be. What sort of advice do you offer?
It's hard without just saying the normal, you know, and I've said this to him, you just got to stick it out. Like, there's going to be a point where it's going to either click, or you're just going to have some luck go your way, that's going to change that qualifying metric. You're going to be able to qualify, not third last, you know, like, that's the hardest thing, and that's why I know what he's getting frustrated, like, being that metric thing, and
it buries you.
It does, and he's stuck, and then you get lapped early, and you're toast. You're toast, you know. So I feel for him, but he's got to stick it out. He's too good, like, not for this to work out.
I agree.
If there's one person in supercars or that I thought was going to come over and be okay, it was going to be him. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But you think about all the places that he's gone this year, that it's his first time in a Cup ride. I think the Cup cars suit him better than the old Cup cars did. I never drove one, but just sounding what it sounds like to other people. But it was always going to be hard. But I think it has been a little harder than he probably thought.
And you get no practice.
Yeah,
bro.
But he's got some road courses coming up. Like, I think, you know, and like you said, like, I don't think Trackhouse stuff's been that great this year. You look at all those guys, Ross, Daniel, both winners in the Cup Series. They're qualifying right around Shane. Yeah, like it's tough, and
it's tough too. And once you lose a little bit of the confidence, then it shows up even more, right? Then you start chasing it. But
I went through that my first year in IndyCar, and it was just.
How do you get it back?
Work. It's like you just got to work at it. You just got to stick it out. And there was a point, like I said, for him that'll eventually happen. It just clicked. I had a good practice. It was weird. Like, I was like top of the charts practice. Had a bad qualifying, but like something clicked, and then it just came around, and that was one of the last two races of the year. Won the first race of the next year, and away we went.
You got a kid now. I always equate it to, there's that song where they're like, we're going on a bear hunt, and then they're running away from it. You can't go under it. You can't go over it. You can't go around it. You got to go through it.
Yep.
And you just got to keep going through it.
Yeah.
I wondered with, obviously you guys are from New Zealand, right? But you raced in Australia, so I don't want to be like the Australians, but there's a lot of guys. Was your goal F1 when you started racing? Because it seems like, you know, there's a lot of good F1 drivers that come from Australia, and now we see that shift to NASCAR. So, like, was your goal F1, and do you see more guys like Brody and them coming over here and doing this?
My first goal was to be a supercar driver.
Really?
I wasn't interested in F1. Not that I wasn't interested. I wasn't an open wheeler driver, and partly because my mum and dad didn't let me drive open wheelers. I was scared of them, so it's kind of crazy where I'm at now. But so I always wanted to be a supercar driver. My mum and dad had, like I said to you, an infatuation with America. So I was brought up around American hot rods cars. Like, my dad had a 56 Ford F100 he had for years. So, you know, you always had that infatuation with American muscle cars and whatnot. Then, you know, become a supercars driver, and I thought that was it for me, and I think that's why when I came here, I just have a blast. Like I'm like, this is for me is just like an absolute bonus of my career. Being able to race the biggest race in the world or whatever, and be in the game is super cool. The Formula One thing, you know, I probably should have been in Europe when I was 15, 16. That's what they do. They'll spend millions of dollars, but I just love America. I really do.
Man.
I know.
Let's go.
I'm not just saying
Me too.
I'm a freedom baby,
Me
but
too.
you know, like it's just.
Is this home though? For like, do you see you
I
and
can
your
see it.
family roots down?
Yeah. That's half the reason why I become a citizen, because I just
Okay.
I had a daughter, and you know, she's got an amazing opportunity. She can be a dual citizen just like me, and eventually when she's 20, 21, does she want to go to Australia or New Zealand to live? Yeah, if you want to do that, you can do that. But I think there's so much opportunity here in America, and I'm privileged to be here. And where Australia, New Zealand, like there's a lot of opportunity there, but there's probably definitely a ceiling at some point. You know, like be here, I just really, you know, treasure it. So I enjoy it.
My man.
Love it. Man, V8 supercar racing looks awesome though.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. You gotta get down to a race there.
Who would you pick from the cup or Indycar garage to go run? Like if you had, what do they do? Bathurst where you have dual drivers?
Yeah.
Who would you pick
in the IndyCar?
if you had to pick an IndyCar driver and if you had to pick a NASCAR driver?
Okay. IndyCar, I'd probably like Will Power, I think would be good. He's driven Bathurst before and whatever, but if you haven't been driven there, let's say Scott Dixon. I think Scott would be great. NASCAR, I think like Bush would be pretty funny to go down there. I think he'd be.
Kyle?
He had a deal last
Yeah,
year.
he
It
did.
it fell apart.
Yeah, it did because they asked me to go back and do it, like
Okay.
to replace him. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Like,
So I asked
babysitting.
SVG about that,
Yeah.
and I was like, "How do you think legitimately he can go there?" He's like, he'd have a hard time running dead last.
Yeah.
He like
Really?
and he's like, that's not disrespectful. That's how good those guys are.
So Larson's been talking about going back and running Adelaide, which is the last race of the year. I love Kyle Larson. I always have, but I agree. Like that race, that track, that car there, I think it will be a struggle.
Well, it's got lock diff. There's a lot of different stuff. Like that's why those videos of you guys just blowing over the curbs.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a totally different
totally
deal.
different. But I mean, yeah, if he goes there and he runs like top 15, like that'd be a win.
Really?
I think. Yeah, it's tough.
Now, like when you go to cup racing, bad example, but like an Xfinity race now, there's like 15 good cars, and then the rest are kind of. Is Australia the same way? Is there back markers, or is everybody pretty good?
There's a few. I wouldn't say there's as much probably disparity in the Xfinity class. Like there's a lot of good cars, but it's probably it's similar probably to Cup.
Really?
Like, honestly, like everyone is like very good on their day, and there's probably 5 or 6 cars that are just sort of cemented in their spot. But it's tough down there, and that place is tough.
I was looking at this more on a map. We got a little map walking out the door because I'm not great at
Geography.
And for some reason, I thought New Zealand was north of Australia, and I was like, "Oh, look, it's kind of southeast."
Oh,
Australia.
yeah.
Anyways,
And I'm from the south. Like I'm south.
where's Tasmania? Like where Marcus is from in relation to that?
So Tasmania is below Australia.
Okay.
So that like they're like this little island below Australia. Okay. But still Australia.
I heard they're crazy down there.
Yeah.
What is it about New Zealand in particular? Right, you got Liam Lawson, the F1 guy. You got Daniel Ricciardo. He was Australian guy.
Yeah.
But like there seems to be a very concentrated
You got Piastri now.
Oscar
like,
Piastri.
yeah.
Like, what is it about the development and the competition in Australia and New Zealand that is making great race car drivers?
Man, I don't know. We've always been a countries that punch above our weight. I mean, New Zealand's got 5 million people, and when we go to the Olympics, sometimes we get 20 gold medals. It's kind of crazy per capita how that works, but
Scrappy.
It lives rent free in my head. That Bowden Barrett's dad.
Oh yeah,
in
yeah.
the All Black.
Yeah.
And he's like the All Black documentary when he's just a farmer.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yep, I always said I was gonna have me an All Black son, so I had 4 of them."
Yeah, I know. And they're just 4 of them, isn't
so
there?
they're just
Yeah, I think
they're the
there's
best
3 or 4.
rugby
Yeah,
players
that's crazy.
in the world.
And probably Bowden will be one of the greatest of all time.
And he's
in All Black.
he's just literally a farmer with like overalls, like carrying a bucket of milk.
Yeah,
I was
well, that's
like,
what I mean. In New Zealand, you either be an All Black, like as a sport, or you be a race driver. In some ways, like that's like sort of where I played rugby when I was a kid.
You didn't grow up to be rugby built.
No. I definitely need to eat a few more pies.
Yeah.
But no. So I don't know what it is. I think the tracks down there are very good. The difference in weather we have too. Like we don't quite have a full winter, so we can still race in the winter. So we race all year round. You know, that I think that helps. It's I don't know. It's a funny thing to think about, but yeah, there has been some great talent. I think there's some great coaches. I think Piastri, for instance, has done an amazing job to get there. It's like I said, there's a ceiling there, and even in a finance perspective as well. Like we don't have as much probably money in Australia or New Zealand as say here in America and Europe, and getting there and doing his thing. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
He's a dude.
Yeah. No,
do you know him?
Yeah, I do know him. So he worked with the same sports psych that I've worked with in the past, and so text him here and there. I'm trying to line up a little helmet swap with him, so it'd be pretty cool. But he, great dude, and I just a real chill dude. Like not like a showy guy. Like just gets in and goes racing, which I appreciate.
He's popping off.
It's great, man. I hope he starts like cementing himself as number one, in that team.
You mentioned sports psych. That's where Stag and Pennies came from. I don't know if you know that or not.
No,
some of the listeners have been listening for a long time. So Stag and Pennies comes from just setting these small milestones on any given race week to go achieve them, to get pumped up, and just keep adding things over the course of the day to go be successful at. Right. Whether it's not hitting the snooze when you wake up in the morning, just little things you have control over. So you mentioned, how long have you been seeing the sports psych, and how important has that been for you?
Yeah, man, it's changed my life. I wouldn't be here without her.
Really?
End of 2017, I should have been probably a 4-time champ. I lost the unlosable championship, and it's all because I imploded in my mind.
Really?
Just was so nervous, and something went wrong. I got a drive-through penalty for speeding the pits, whole story, and then I basically from that point I imploded, and all I had to do was finish top 12, and I finished 13th, and it was just the worst. But like it was the worst. Anyway,
what is it? The self-doubt, the expectation.
I think the expectation for me, it was shame. Like the expectation of like, if I stuff this up, the shame of feeling that, and it would make me really nervous. And I still like a little bit like that. Like if I crash the car, I really battle with like feeling bad for the guys, and like hurt, just this is how I've kind of been brought up, like don't scratch my go-kart and look after it and stuff like that. And anyway, I saw Emma Murray is her name, and she basically we just worked with you have an A and a B game. So a B game is bad, it's where you're thinking about everything, and you're thinking about, you need to do the perfect lap, you need to do this, you need to pass this guy, there's all different things. And then there's the A game where you're just completely in flow and you're thinking about things. But the pivotal thing in all this is you only have one focus. You can't focus on the perfect lap, whatever. You can only focus on the best things like execution. What am I going to do here? What's the next corner? Every lap. I know it sounds so simple, but it's so hard as a race driver, as you know, to like make that happen. So the minute I sort of got into flow and started, I actually do a lot of mindfulness stuff, a lot of meditating and thinking about the lap, and that's what I do at Indy. Like I go through the whole sort of sequence in my mind. But that completely changed my life, and I highly recommend anyone in this space or sports space or workspace to just don't be scared to do it. Like I'm a big advocate on like just that mental health battle and trying to talk to someone about something, whether it's not just professionally, like
in your life,
and that's another thing where my wife Carly was just an absolute superstar with that. She pushed me to do something like that. She pushed it and said, look, you got to try, and I can only talk to you so much, but you've got to try and get someone. Or
there's a person that talks to you all day long, and that's yourself.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right, and that's your biggest competitor.
And you cuss yourself out, you're doing whatever, that's just like, it's human nature.
Yeah.
And there's got to be a point where you sit back and you think about, okay, well, what did I do good here? Where did I go wrong? And then you start, figuring out what works for you to keep you in that flow state. And I love that.
It's like going to the gym for your body.
Yeah.
Right. The mind is like a muscle, and you have to work it the same way.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm a big believer in that stuff. And she and obviously when I came over here in 21 or 2020, like it was harder for me to keep in contact with her, or at least on a race weekend. So she'd do recordings for me, and like normally I'd speak to her before each time I got in the car in Australia. We're here, she just sent me recordings, and it was great. So
man, it's not coincidence or chance or luck that somebody has as successful as a career as you have, right? It's been all this work of not only with your team and setting yourself up around the right people, but working on yourself, constantly getting better and constantly achieving this thing. So, buddy, I'm still hammering you. I'm hammering you for the Indy 500 this year.
Thanks. I hope so. You should. It's easy money.
Where would you? That's all. That is
Damn right.
big money. That's. I mean, I don't necessarily like to talk about money, but how big of a day is that if you win?
Yeah, it's a big day.
It's
Like,
2 day for sure.
Huh?
It's a 2 day.
Yeah. I think so. Ask Joseph. Yeah, he's had 2 of them.
He's like, I'm trying to find out. I'll let you know when I figure it out.
It's a change your life day. It's not even just that. It's like it makes you immortal at that place.
Absolutely.
You know, like it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Like it's I would do anything. Like a lot of people ask me, Indy or a championship? I say Indy every day of the week, just because I think it was the same with Bathurst. You know, what you need one perfect day. You need to put it all together on one day. It's so hard. And then if you don't get it right, you come back 365 days later. Championship, you can build your way back from. But yeah,
You said you'd do anything.
I'd do anything. I'd do anything. I know, don't get crazy, but I would do anything.
Don't make this
I'm
weird.
with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
$20 is $20.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, I wish you luck. We're still going to be watching. How can people follow along with the journey?
Yep.
Social media, all the things.
All the stuff. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Mclachlan93, and I've started a little YouTube channel too. So I don't really know what to do.
Hey, can we do a little collab?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's freaking do it.
I'd love to drop that on. If you got this video, let's drop it on. I need content all the day.
Same.
So,
It's all
We need to have a
Let's do it.
lawnmower race.
Yeah.
We need to build some
Do something like
have
that.
a lawnmower race at SVG's
Have you seen
place.
SVG's place with like the
That's-
old cars and stuff?
We need to get 4 or 5 lawnmowers and go out there and have a day.
No,
We
it's
do.
good. I appreciate you guys having me on. Like, obviously, this is a big
One last
show,
thing.
so-
One last thing. So I was scrolling through your X this morning just to see what the latest and greatest in your life is. You're a huge Knicks fan. Wearing the
Huge
hat.
Knicks fan. Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
His wife's from New
That's
York,
why I wore
bro.
the Knicks hat today, because we had a big win on the weekend. But so when I was a kid, mum and dad went to America and they brought me back a jersey, and I've been a Knicks fan ever since. What's that?
Who was the jersey?
I was just a kid's, because I was too small at the time, so I didn't have a number on it or whatever. But
You could have hit Patrick Ewing.
yeah, well, I mean, Jeremy Lin, man, Lin Sanity back in the day was unreal.
Yeah.
So for me, but then I met Carly, and she's from New York. She was a Knicks fan. It was just like a match made in heaven. And yeah, I've been a Knicks fan since I was a kid.
Have you been to Madison Square?
Yes, a couple of times.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's incredible. That's any sports fan has to go there. It was
Never
incredible.
been. Shout out Murph. He goes all the time. He's a huge Knicks fan
That's
too.
cool.
He's
Yeah.
my cousin. You're now his favorite IndyCar driver.
Dude, we used to
bar none.
go, growing up in New Jersey, we could take the train from our town. So, like, we'd go to,
yeah.
Ringling Brothers Circus at Madison
Yeah,
Square.
yeah.
It was because you could just get right
Carly's
there.
from Long Island, so we would take the train straight from her house to Penn, and it's just amazing setup. Just going there and being a part of it. But yeah, huge Knicks fan, huge Mets fan, Rangers fan. Mets and Rangers because of my wife. Baseball, I'm really getting into this year. I love baseball. I was cricket back in Australia,
Yeah.
but I like love baseball. Bought the package to watch every game. Like, it's hard, but it's just something to have on.
Yankees, Mets.
Mets,
yeah.
and then
And they have great colors.
Yeah.
The Knicks and the Knicks and the Mets, the blue and the orange, man.
Yeah.
It's,
And then I'm sort of hurting myself by being a Panthers fan.
Yeah, we feel you. We're the same way.
This is my first place I've lived in America. I'm going to support the home team, and that'll be me ever since.
we all feel the same pain.
Yeah.
With the
But hey,
Panthers.
I think we had a good draft. I think we were good.
Buddy, we're gonna
I know
suck.
this is a
but
racing
we're all gonna have
podcast,
fun.
but-
It's just it's right down the road. We're gonna enjoy it, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I appreciate the optimism. Before I let you
We
go,
stink.
though, we stink and suck. But good luck to the Panthers.
Yeah.
3 questions.
Yes.
We ask all the guests.
Okay.
So if you had to pick, and you've driven a lot of different type of race cars, if you had to pick one race car and one racetrack to race at the rest of your life, what do you pick?
Whoa. That's a good one.
it's the hardest question you're getting all day.
Honestly, I love racing Indy in an Indycar. If I could go there every day and just turn laps, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Love it.
Sorry,
Well,
it's pretty basic, but
No.
yeah.
No, I can appreciate that. What's the most embarrassing moment you ever had at the racetrack?
Probably losing that championship. And you know
Who'd
the
you lose
worst
to?
part? Sorry?
Who'd you lose to?
Jamie Whincup.
Oh.
I actually handed
damn,
Jamie
we still
his
lost to
7th
the
championship.
GOAT.
Yeah, I know. And it was like, oh man, it's the worst now. I still haven't watched the race to this day, but the worst part about that whole thing was the banquet was the next night. So they played, like, they had all their amazing scenes. They played all of my mistakes. Like, literally, like, and I'm just sitting there going, I need a beer.
Hammer
whiskey.
down the Fosters.
I was just like drinking.
Was he in a Red Bull car then?
Yeah.
Dude, that chrome
Yeah, it was
Vodafone car he used to
he
run.
was Shane, he was Shane's.
Yeah, so Shane
teammate.
had won 16, and then I came to Penske in 17, and we got going. Like, that year, me and Shane, like, I spun Shane out purposely. Like, we did, like, so many different things. We've had some run-ins, me and Shane. But we're still good. We're
He
good,
swears
good,
that you
he's good.
blocked him in at, was it Pukekohe
Oh,
on
he
purpose?
100%.
He was salty about that in here.
No. He's like, no, I didn't do it. I'm like, you 100% are too good with your car placement. You know exactly what you were doing. Mother effer. Yeah, nah.
Piggy run the clip. Last question. And I don't. You might be. Have you seen Men in Black? Will Smith alien movie.
I haven't seen it. No.
Okay.
So,
Neither is Jesse Love, but
Yeah.
he didn't even know what it was.
yeah, I know what it is, but yeah.
So in the movie, they have a pen that zaps all your memory. Right? If you see them, they zap your memory. You don't know where they're at. So if I had the Men in Black pen and I zapped all of your racing memories of your whole life, but you only got to keep one, what do you keep?
Bathurst 1001.
Oh, quick answer.
Yep. No
until
doubt.
until next
Indy.
month.
Yeah, and then it'll be like zap that one.
Yeah.
But no, look, honestly, Bathurst, that created everything. I never forget Roger being in Victory Lane. Like, okay, time for America.
Hey,
That was pretty cool, and like just enjoying. Oh man, like we had an absolute week. We had a team party after it. It was awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
imagine
never
that, getting
forget.
that. Hey, big guy.
Yeah.
Time to come to America.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that
and
was
then
the goal.
cut to documentary.
Yeah. It was like championship, Bathurst, and then we'll take you. And I did the championship, and all I needed was a Bathurst, and that was what happened.
Well, buddy, you did it. Now all you need is Indy 500.
Yep.
Good luck to you from everybody that's listening to Stacking Pennies. Follow along my man Scotty McLaughlin in his Indy 500
Appreciate it.
pursuit. Thanks for coming
guys.
in, buddy.
Thank you.